let's get the LCK tier list rock and rolled. There's a few things that I think you can see from the roster changes, but we'll go through them. First team is DAMWON has changed their roster, obviously. Khan is out, Canyon is out, Deft is out. They've got King and Lucid, Showmaker, Aiming, Kellen. King coming from Hammerlife, world champion with DRX. Lucid was their academy jungler, who was smurfing really fucking hard. And Aiming from KT. Kind of crazy to see Showmaker and together. And it's also crazy to see that Thanatos doesn't have a team, who was their academy top. Yeah, DAMWON Kia are cooking. They've kept Kellen, who I think Kellen's alright. Kellen's good. I don't think there's much of an upgrade you can get unless they could have signed like Delight, maybe. It's hard to get a raw upgrade. I mean, you could have got Lehens, but then you've got the bot lane from KT. I don't know if that's the direction you want to go in. Looks good. Kingen was not bad. Lucid is the hype prodigy. Everyone is saying that Lucid is basically Baby Canyon. This is not something that I thought through at all. But Showmaker, yeah, Showmaker is... I've spoken a lot about these players before, but I'm a big fan of Aiming. I'm a big fan of Kellen. I think Lucid is going to live up to the hype. I think Kingen is still really solid. Showmaker's really solid. I actually think this team will do better. I think people will think that's a mid-tier team. I think that team's pretty strong. I would say solid A tier for that team. So I think DAMWON's a solid A tier team. I think that team will be strong. That team will be strong. I don't think it's S tier though. Let's go to DRX. Rascal, Sponge, Setab, Teddy, Pleata. Yeah, I mean, I've always been a big fan of Rascal every year. Ever since he left GENG, that player has been really good.
Pog, let's go, man.
The problem is he always gets inted. He always gets inted to the ground, even if he plays well. I don't know who Sponge is. I know who Juan is, obviously, but it looks like Sponge is the starter. I don't know who Setab is either. I'm guessing these are like academy players. Yeah, they are. They won the Asia Star Invitational, and they finished 4th in LCKCL. Not bad. They lost the DAMWON Challengers, which was a pretty solid roster. Much about Sponge either, but I'm going to guess Sponge is also from DRX Academy. Yeah, he is. So they just took a risk, didn't they? They just put both their academy mid-jungle in and got Teddy. Pleata was their AD carry who role swapped. I think that team will be alright. Nothing special. I'm going to put them in C tier for now, but probably D tier as well. Somewhere around there. CD. Around that area. Alright, FEARX, Clear, Willer, Closer, Henna, Execute. That's Live Sandbox, for those of you who don't remember or don't know that they actually changed their name. Live Sandbox. Okay, the only person I don't know on that roster is Clear. Who is Clear? 21 years old. Did he didn't play in Sandbox this year, did he? Did he play in Sandbox? No, Birdle was the star. So he was in their Challengers team as well. They came 2nd in spring, but then it looks like he didn't play at all in the LCK. He did play in the LCK. Maybe I just didn't watch enough Sandbox games. Maybe I didn't watch enough Sandbox games. But they must trust him a lot. Execute is Younghoon, yeah, I know. I mean, I think Closer is really good. I'm a big fan of Closer. I've always been a big fan of Closer. Younghoon coming over is great. I think Younghoon is decent. Henna is from Bro, obviously. Henna's alright. And Willer is fine as well. Like overall, like a decent roster. I'll put them next to DRX right now, but I think their DRX and FEARX are probably similar kind of levels. I think DRX might clear a little bit. It just depends how good Setup is, because Closer is really solid. I think Closer is probably the best player on that team. But they've got Bro Power, and you know Bro Power is crazy. Delight leaves Bro, joins GENG, wins the split. So we'll see what kind of Bro Power it brings. Alright, GENG, Keen, Canyon, Chovy, Pays, Lehens. I don't think any of those players need an introduction. They got Keen from KT, Canyon from DAMWON, Chovy from GENG, obviously. And Pays still there. Lehens came from KT as well. This roster could be an LCK title contestant. Could be. But they have players that under pressure, not sure if they'll perform. As much as I think Doran is obviously choking under pressure, Peanut has been as well recently. I do think that like Chovy Keen could be a really tough duo to have internationally if they don't step up on like obviously in group stage they'll be fine or something, you know, but when it comes to the knockout stages and like the big games is where the nerves can get to you. But on paper that roster is really strong. Keen's one of the best tops, Canyon's one of the best junglers, Chovy's one of the best mids, FaZe Lehens is one of the best bot lanes. I think that team is also an A tier team. I don't think they're any higher though. I don't think they're an S tier team because obviously, I think everyone will know which team is S tier. And if I put them on S tier, I'm basically saying that this team could beat that team. And I just don't think I don't think they can. I don't think that team can beat that team. But they have really, really high caliber, I think, of players. I mean, the thing is, these players have hit the highest of highs, right? Almost. Pog. And they're still kind of in form. I would say, you know, Keen and Lehens, maybe their form is teetering off, but they'll be okay. Domestically, for sure, this team. GENG domestically will be really strong. I think I would put them above DAMWON. Alright, Hammerlife. Doran, Peanut, Zeka, Viper, Delight. Kinda crazy. They got Doran from GENG, Peanut from GENG. They got Delight from GENG, and they got Zeka and Viper. It's another super team. Life just doubled down on their fucking psychotic levels of spending money on players. They kept Zeka and they kept Viper, and they just basically built around them. They've replaced Doran for Keen, which for Kingen, sorry, which is solid domestically. Like domestically solid. This team and Gen G are very similar, I think, in terms of what you know you'll get out of the players. Like Dora and Peanut domestically, yeah, they're gonna fry. Like this will be a top 2, top 3, top jungle in domestics. But internationally, not sure. Zeka, domestically, one of the best mids, easily. You can't argue against me that Zeka on that Life roster was not playing that well. I think he looked good. His lane phases were really strong. Viper is Viper. He's been getting into it. And Delight was one of the best engaged supports in the whole league. So, I don't know. Looks insanely good as well. I would put them right next to Gen G. You've got, I think, Life and Gen G, who will be like fighting for second and third. And then DAMWON, who I think, if Lucid is really good and he lives up to the hype, this team might just take second place from both of them, in my opinion. This is like my dark horse, I think, of the top 5. I think there should be everyone's dark horse for the top 5, because aiming is really underrated. Kellen's hopefully going to hit an upswing, and if Lucid's top tier, then that team is going to smoke. Depends on Showmaker as well, I guess. But, you know, there's less reliability in DAMWON than there is in Gen G and Life right now, because you know, if you have Chovy, Pays, if you have Dora and Peanut, if you have Delight, if you have Canyon, if you have these players, you're top 3 and top 4. Like, you just are in the LCK. That's just how it works. You can't tell me that either of these teams won't be top 3. I've always been a DAMWON biased person, though, so I like DAMWON a lot. DAMWON is always the dark horse. They really are. I don't know. They're always like a team that can beat anyone, but can also just crumble so easily. But I'm a DAMWON stan. All right, KT Rolster. They've got Perfect, who's a rookie top coming in. Then they've got DRX 2022 and BDD. It's Longzhu plus fucking DRX, Kingzone, all in one with a rookie top. Obviously, this is less powerhousey than the other two, the Gen Gs and the Hammerlifes of the world. But BDD is fucking good domestically. I think he had his best year this year. Deft had a good year overall. Beryl obviously was just getting inted. Yeah, I mean, he was kind of inting too, but you can't really do anything on that team in DRX in here. Piosik went to NA. He played decently at Worlds. He had a few good games, but it's hard to say how good he'll be in the LCK. And Perfect's a rookie. So, I mean, the thing is, it's hard to rate that team because DRX 2022, after they won Worlds, they never played a game together again domestically. So you weren't sure how big of like a meta, like how big the meta was, or how, I don't want to say lucky, but how the stars maybe aligned for them. Because domestically, that team was dog shit. It was trash. That DRX team barely even beat Sandbox to make it to Worlds. I would say KT Rolster solid B, you know. They're alright. They're not bad. Deft Beryl will be good. BDD is really good. Perfect's unknown. Piosik, I have no idea how well they'll play. But yeah, domestically, I don't think that team's gonna be top 4, in my opinion. I think they'll be 5th, 6th, I think, I would say. Alright, KDF, Kwangdong Freaks. They got Dudu, who is actually really good. Cuz, who got done dirty this offseason. Bulldog, Taeyun, Andil, Coach CVMax. I think you're looking at like a 7th, 8th place team here. There's nothing big. The best player they have is Cuz. Cuz is really good. I think Cuz was one of the best junglers of the Worlds. He was really good. But I just don't think they have the player caliber. Like, I think the way the LCK market works is the top 4 teams sometimes just shift around players, and the bottom 4 teams shift around players too. And you can never really get a top player on a bottom team. And the LCK never, I don't know, it's just, that's the way it is in the LCK. That's why all the time you see the last 4 years of LCK, it's just Gen G, DAMWON, T1. And now Hanwha come in because they've spent tons of fucking thousands of dollars. Even before that, they had Morgan, Chovy, didn't they? And Deft. They had Keria as well. So, they didn't have Keria. That was DRX. DRX had Deft and Keria. DRX came close, but Hanwha had, who did they have bot lane? They did have Deft. They had Deft, Chovy, didn't they? And Willer. They had Willer. They had Morgan, Deft, Chovy, Willer, and Life. That was Hammer Life, wasn't it? Vista. They had Vista as well. Anyway, sometimes teams can start to compete, but you really need to get these top players or these. Yeah, we've seen what Konga Freaks are like. They're coached by CVMax. They're all whipped by CVMax. You can see. I like KDF. Sometimes they have good content in the behind the scenes and showing how hard they work. Yeah. This team works so hard. Like, CVMax is sweating for his life to make this team be able to chase top teams. So they have rigorous practice. I would say they're a C tier team overall. I haven't decided the CD tier yet. Yeah, I just think you're looking at a 7th, 8th place fighter here. I don't think there's any big upsets, in my opinion. But them having Cuz is a big advantage for them, I think. So of the bottom teams so far, I think they're like near DRX. You know, there's some really good players in these bottom teams. Like Rascal's there, Teddy's really good, Cuz is really good. What? Oh yeah, Closer is really good. Some of these players are really good. All right, Nongshim Red Force. You know, they've got Dundun, they've got Sylvie, Fiesta, Jiwoo, Peter. Is that the same roster from last year? From this year? Dundun, Sylvie, Jiwoo, Peter. Fiesta. That's the same roster, isn't it? Yeah, I think this is 8th, 9th place team. They're keeping the same roster. I don't think they did that well in LCK last year. I think they finished like 9th, didn't they? I think DRX finished. Oh, they finished 9th. Oh yeah, DRX made playoffs. I'm fucking cooked. Was it spring that DRX finished 10th? Oh yeah, they barely scraped 9th. So Nongshim finished 9th last split. I don't think they'll be that good. I think they'll be okay. Nothing big. I think they're like a D tier team. No changes either. Where's Dread? That's a good question. What happened to Dread? What happened to this guy? Did he retire? He went army? I don't know. Continuing on, we've got OK Man Bro. And I know everyone wants a Bro to be S tier. Envy. Didn't Envy play in the LPL? I think he played in like LGD or something, didn't he? Yeah, he did. That guy went over to LPL, and I don't think he was doing very well. I think he was getting shit on. They got Gideon, because went to Team Liquid, and Henna left. Gideon was on IG. I don't really remember seeing his games, though. I don't know, I think the bro spirit is gone, boys. I don't know. Morgan's there as well, at least. I mean, Commander Karis and Morgan are there, and Effort's still there, but I just don't think this roster's got it in them. When they made playoffs the last time, it was with good old Umti, and Umti was playing so well. I think Umti was like the heart of that team. I'm sorry, bro fans. I think they're D tier. That team just ain't got it. But, I mean, I'm sure the bro believers will just keep going. The bro believers will never stop. That's a D tier team. I'm sorry, boys. And then T1. I don't think it's going to shock anyone if I put T1 in S tier. I think this team is just... The fact that they kept the roster together in the first place is the biggest surprise. If they lost more than 2 players, this roster might have struggled a little bit against some of these teams. You know, if they got rid of like if they lost Zeus and Owner and they got like Canyon and Kingen or something, I would be a little bit worried for the team. But I mean, what do you want from me? They're the world champions. Their run this year was insane. And the biggest thing is, I think if you're chasing something and you can never achieve it and you always fall over yourself trying to achieve it at the last step, you lose so much confidence in yourself, I think. So I think T1, now that they've won Worlds and all of these players are world champions, they won't really feel under pressure to like not choke, you know, so then they won't choke. I think, to be honest, if I was to make a guess, I think 2024, T1 is going to roll T1 2024. After looking at the LPL rosters and looking at this LCK, I think Hamalife, GENG internationally are going to be mid. Maybe. There's a small chance that these two teams internationally just aren't going to be up to, like, they're just going to be choking or they're not going to be playing very well on stage in important games. DAMWON could be a big surprise, but LPL, I don't know, it just feels like maybe JDG is good with their new top laner, but Yagao's there. Maybe BLG is really good.
Let's go, man.
But we'll see how they do at the next international. And maybe Top Esports can play well, but I'm never trusting Tian again. That motherfucker he runs it the fuck down. 2022, I said Top Esports might win Worlds, and then they got knocked out in groups. That was fucked up. I think T1 might run next year pretty hard. They might run it. So what do I do with these teams? Yeah, I think KDF is a D tier team. I know they got Cuz. I think they're a C tier team. I think these 3 teams are C tier. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. I would maybe put FEARX above KDF, actually. LNG is insane. Yeah, they got Scout, Gala, and they got that jungle. They got Weiwei, right? Actually, LNG is not bad. Yeah, next year will be LNG, JDG, BLG. Unless NIP is now... The thing is, that NIP roster only has 1 superstar in it, but the other 4 players are pretty good. It's just a case of like how much they can match up. And then EDG has like leave back after the allegations and stuff against JJ. And he's playing with JJ, which is really awkward. I don't know how that EDG dynamic's gonna go on. I'm not doing an LPL tier list right now, but basically what happened was Leaf blamed the shit out of JJ on fake accounts on the internet. Every time he lost a game, he would write on his fake accounts in social media that it's always Jungler's fault. Then it got found out that he did that, so then they kicked him and put him on the academy team. They got Uzi. Then they didn't make it with Uzi, but Leaf was destroying everyone in the LDL. I don't know if they won the LDL, but he was fucking cracking everyone's skull. So EDG was like, maybe we should bring him back. So they brought him back now, But now he's still on the team with JJ, which is really awkward. Now he's got a support who's a rookie called Vampire. I don't know how well that guy's going to do. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, T1 I think is S tier team. They got Koma back. They kept Tom. So yeah, I think this is pretty solid. You've got like the S tier T1, the A tiers of GenG and Hanwha with super players in domestic region. KT who have like a bit more A tier S players instead of S. And you've got DAMWON who I still believe in. You know, I think some people would do this, but I believe in DAMWON. I believe in them a lot. And then you've got the bottom 5, which I don't think is going to be a surprise. I would be very, very surprised if this is not the top 5 for LCK next year. I think there's a small chance that this happens and DRX plays a bit better. Or this happens, but I doubt it. I doubt it. There's no way that BDD roster with Deft and Beryl finishes bottom 5, right? No shot Bucko. So I think this is a very, very safe, accurate LCK. Thing is, I think LCK, now this might age really poorly what I'm about to say, but I think LCK is rather predictable overall. Internationally, LCK is not predictable at all. But domestically, LCK is pretty predictable if you know the players in the team. It's very repetitive. Like in the LEC, for example, G2 losing to BDS or something is not a surprise. T1 or GenG losing to fucking KDF or DRX is a massive surprise. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? It's a lot more rigorous and structured in the way that like upsets happen and teams come out of nowhere. Like LEC this year, I think if you're a European fan or you're a European in general, or you only watch the LEC, you would see that it's a shitfest sometimes. Bro did beat GenG, true. I mean, there's the small ones where Bro beat GenG at the end of the season, and then IG beat JDG at the end of the season. You know, you have those one series here and there. But yeah, LEC is BO1, I guess. That does change it a little bit. I guess the system being best of 3 does does make it a bit different. Where are the spicy takes? I don't know what spicy takes you could have, to be honest. I guess if you wanted a really spicy take and you wanted to trigger all the T1 fans because there's Pyosik, Deft, and Beryl, you could say KT is S tier for the Telecom Wars. And DAMWON is A, B, sorry. That could be a spicy one, you know? It's KT, Telecom Wars. You want to sell me a story that T1 KT is going to be competitive next year? Sure, let me tell you about KT T1 this year. Because KT T1 this year was... KT T1 had a best of 5 in spring and in summer twice. So they had 3 best of 5s. They had some of the best of 5s I've ever seen in my entire life. If those best of 5s were internationally, they would probably go down as some of the best of 5s in history. KT T1 best of 5s. They were unreal. They were crazy good.